Imagine you're running a tech business, right? You've got nearly 100 paying clients.
Okay, sounds great so far.
Yeah, but here is the crazy part. You suddenly realize that 86 of those clients never even log into your software, like ever.
Wow, that is, well, that's the dream scenario for a lot of founders, honestly.
Right. Today we are looking at a 22-year-old college dropout
Right.
who engineered exactly that. He built this fully automated recurring revenue marketing agency.
And use a platform called GoHighLevel to do it, which is important to note.
Exactly. But the secret to his success, and what we're going to get into, actually has almost nothing to do with the software itself.
No, not at all. It's really a masterclass in behavioral psychology. He completely bypasses the traditional gates of the digital economy.
Yeah, and that sets up our mission for today's deep dive perfectly. We are extracting the actionable strategies from a really candid YouTube interview.
Right, the one on Clay Lawrence's channel.
Yes, his interview with James Clark, this young guy who locked in 96 active clients in under 2 years.
Which is just wild volume for a beginner.
That is. So we're going to analyze his pricing, his really unorthodox cold calling framework, and this delegation strategy that keeps his overhead super low.
Because if you are listening to this, whether you're an aspiring founder or maybe a freelancer trying to stop trading hours for dollars, there is so much to learn here.
Oh, 100%. Even if you're just fascinated by the mechanics of modern sales, we are going to pull apart exactly how to bypass analysis paralysis.
Yeah, to frame this right from the start, we can't look at this as just a software tutorial.
Huh.
Go High Level is just the vehicle here.
Right.
James is essentially weaponizing human psychology, both his own psychology and his client's psychology, to just relentlessly lower the barriers to entry.
Okay, let's unpack this, because his origin story actually starts with the exact hurdle that stops, well, pretty much everyone.
The dreaded analysis paralysis.
Exactly. So James went to college for marketing, but he drops out after one semester because he felt the curriculum was just archaic.
Which, was a common complaint. They aren't teaching Facebook ads or Google SEO in most freshman classes.
Right. So he discovers Go High Level through YouTubers like Jason Wardrop and Jasper, and they sell this dream of launching an agency in a day.
But he didn't launch in a day, did he?
No, he spent 2 months just sitting on his couch, completely paralyzed, doing absolutely nothing.
It's the paradox of choice. I mean, when a platform gives you limitless features, CRM, SMS, marketing, funnel building.
Right. It's just too much.
Yeah, the inexperienced user tries to sell all of it at once. They try to sell the complexity of the machine rather than just the outcome.
And he actually admits to doing exactly that. When he finally started reaching out to local businesses, he was sending these massive text messages.
It's just bullet points of everything the software does.
Exactly, listing a million different capabilities. And surprise, surprise, he got 0 replies. He was just totally overwhelming them.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, you've ever spent like 3 weeks tweaking the hex codes on a website logo instead of making a sales call?
Oh man, guilty.
Right. Then you know exactly the kind of friction James is feeling.
So what broke the friction was actually his environment. During the COVID lockdowns, he was stuck at home listening to his dad.
Who's a top-tier salesman in Austin.
Yes.
Yes.
His dad is making these highly confident sales calls from the next room every single morning, just crushing it.
That daily rhythm of prospecting and closing deals, it provides this inescapable proof of concept. You hear it working.
It pushed him over the edge, so he gets a cheap Fiverr tool, scrapes a list of local Austin businesses, and he targets landscapers.
Which is smart because he actually ran a small landscaping hustle before this, so he knows the lingo.
Right. So he shoots off a text. The business owner replies, but immediately starts grilling him with technical questions.
Oh no, like what?
The guy asks, "What AI do you use to implement this system?" And James just starts panicking.
Because he probably has no idea how to answer that yet.
0 idea. He somehow maneuvers the guy onto a Zoom call, and he says he was literally physically shaking in the waiting room.
I can imagine.
But he closes the deal. $97 a month. No setup fee, no contract. And get this, that very first client is still with him today.
What's fascinating here is the pricing psychology. Because new agency owners consume all this content that tells them to charge a massive premium.
Right, the whole high ticket thing.
Exactly, like charge a $3,000 setup fee right out of the gate to establish authority. But doing that as a beginner creates suffocating anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that $97 price tag, and honestly, my first instinct is that it sounds like a race to the bottom.
It does sound like that at first.
Right. Doesn't heavily discounting your offer train the client to view you as just a cheap, low-value vendor?
In a traditional consulting framework, absolutely. But in a recurring software model, especially at the very beginning, the goal isn't profit margin.
What is it then?
The goal is a subsidized education. By dropping the price to $97 and ditching the contract, he stripped away all the risk for the buyer.
Oh, I see.
And more importantly, he stripped away the performance anxiety for himself. It was a psychological win. He was basically getting paid to learn.
Pay to learn. I love that. You figure out the mechanics in the real world without the pressure of delivering some flawless multi-thousand-dollar experience.
Exactly. You lock in the confidence first.
But, closing one lenient landscaper doesn't build a 96 client agency. He had to figure out how to scale that curiosity.
Right, which completely changed how he picked up the phone.
Yeah, this brings us to the tactical cold calling framework that brought in 85% of his business.
Because he completely abandons the standard SDR playbook.
Here's where it gets really interesting. He doesn't use rigid scripts at all. He uses this highly structured pattern interrupt.
It's designed to catch the owner slightly off guard.
Right. So let's say he calls an HEAC company. He doesn't open with, "Hey, I'm James from this marketing agency."
No, the setup is just, hey, I saw you service the Round Rock area. Is that correct?
And the immediate assumption from the business owner is what? That they're talking to a potential new customer.
Right. Their tone instantly warms up. They get excited and say yes.
So before the call, James takes like 30 seconds to find their Yelp or BBB page. So his follow-up is, "Oh, I see you have 10 reviews on Google. Are those all residential jobs?"
And again, the owner is happy to explain their services. They say yes again.
So within 30 seconds, he has them engaged, saying yes, confirming details, and then he drops the reveal.
This is the pivot.
He goes, "Okay, well, I actually went ahead and built you a sample website. Curious if you want to take a look."
We really need to analyze why this works so effectively, because it leverages a very specific flavor of the law of reciprocity.
How so?
Well, standard callers ask for a favor, right?
Yeah.
They say, give me 15 minutes to show you my product. James flips that entirely.
He says, "I've already spent 15 minutes building your product. Let's look at it."
Exactly.
But I have to push back a little on the ethics here. It feels, I don't know, a bit manipulative.
You think so?
Yeah. You call a local business, effectively impersonating a homeowner with a broken AC to get them talking, and then bait and switch to selling digital marketing. Doesn't that burn trust?
It would burn trust if he didn't immediately introduce tangible value. This is where that 10-minute template saves the whole interaction.
Because he actually did the work.
Right. The human brain is heavily biased towards sunk cost and reciprocity. So even if they realize they were slightly misdirected,
They see their logo on a website.
yes, the realization is immediately followed by the fact that this kid already built a custom draft with their company colors.
That makes sense.
The willingness to look at something custom made for you totally overrides the annoyance of the sales pivot.
And when they inevitably say, "Sure, email me the link," James does this brilliant little maneuver he calls the Zoom trap.
Zoom trap is so smart.
He flat out refuses to email the link. He claims the sample isn't on a live domain, so it wouldn't load properly on their end.
Which is just an excuse.
Right. He insists it's much easier to just share his screen for 5 minutes. He uses this technical excuse to force a live Zoom meeting right then and there.
And once he has them on screen, he doesn't just show the website. He demos the AI chat widget live.
Yeah, and he walks them through the automated Google review system.
It's a highly leveraged form of pre-delivery. He literally forces the environment where his value proposition is the absolute strongest.
The strategy undeniably works for acquisition, but, the sheer volume of these calls creates an obvious operational nightmare.
Oh, the classic agency bottleneck.
Yeah. If you're booking 5 Zoom demos a week and closing them, you eventually have to sit down and actually build the websites.
Right, and selling becomes your punishment because every closed deal means 3 weeks of fulfillment labor.
Which pulls you off the phones. James calls this losing the snowball effect. He realized the moment he stops cold calling to fiddle with a website layout, his pipeline dries up.
Momentum is everything at the beginning.
So to protect that momentum, he turned to extreme delegation almost immediately. He currently has 6 virtual assistants from Upwork and 2 dedicated cold callers.
And the economics of this are fascinating.
Yeah, he pays roughly $100 for a VA to build out a comprehensive 20-page website.
But, managing a remote team across different time zones is practically a full-time job.
Right. Interviewing, testing, filtering talent. That usually prevents early founders from outsourcing it all.
Which brings us to the secret weapon of his whole operation.
His dad.
His dad. The veteran salesman didn't just inspire him, he acts as his employee vetter, his family manager, basically.
Yeah, his dad creates the Upwork listings, wades through the applications, handles the interviews, and negotiates the rates.
James never even touches the hiring process.
He is completely insulated from that operational drag so he can stay focused on volume.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it just shows a profound understanding of where his actual leverage is.
What do you mean?
Well, there's this pervasive myth in the agency world that you have to master your own craft first, that you have to be the best web designer in town before you sell a site.
Right. It's the classic dilemma of the architect versus the bricklayer. If you're down in the dirt laying bricks, you can't be at the drafting table designing the house.
Exactly. And the product itself is highly commoditized anyway. A clean 20-page website can be built by thousands of freelancers globally for a fair price.
So James realized his competitive advantage wasn't navigating the website builder. His value was entirely in client acquisition.
The true bottleneck is never fulfillment, it's lead generation. By buying back his time for $100 a site, he transitioned from a freelancer to a real business owner.
Yeah, and that transition from selling a website to selling an entire automated system is where his pricing completely fractures from that original $97 safety net.
Because the agency matured.
Right. His dad pushed him to introduce a setup fee, and James fought it hard. He was terrified that upfront friction would kill his close rate.
Which is a normal fear. But he compromised, right?
Yeah. He added a $500 to $1,000 setup fee to his new higher tiers, which run at $297 and $497 a month.
And how did the market respond?
They didn't blink. The clients absorbed the setup fee without issue.
That's incredible.
I mean, he still tactically waives it for local Austin businesses or direct referrals, but mostly he's collecting that upfront cash.
And the deliverables for those tiers expand significantly. They aren't just getting digital real estate.
Right. They get AI chat widgets, they get comprehensive SEO, where his VAs use a platform called Search Atlas.
Ah, Search Atlas. That's for keyword research, right?
Yeah, they optimize up to 12 different service pages and run quarterly audits.
Which is critical because that introduces a recurring optimization process. It justifies the monthly fee.
But the most powerful retention tool he has is the reputation management. The text-based Google review automation is just genius.
Walk us through how it works.
Okay, so if a customer rates the business 4 or 5 stars, the system automatically fires off the text with a direct link to post it publicly on Google Maps.
Nice.
But if the customer hits 3 stars or lower, the automation intercepts the process. It routes the user to a private feedback form.
Oh, wow. So the business owner can handle the grievance internally.
Exactly, without suffering a public hit to their rating.
That creates an immediate, measurable impact on local search visibility. The owner physically watches their Google ranking climb week after week.
So what does this all mean for the end user? Because here is the stat that completely recontextualizes this entire deep dive.
The login stat.
Yes. James admits that out of his 96 active clients, only about 10 actually log into the GoHighLevel software.
The other 86 never touch the platform.
Never. They rely entirely on James as their dedicated support specialist. He calls it collecting free money because the automations just run silently.
This is the ultimate realization of the done-for-you economy. It really exposes the illusion of selling software to local businesses.
Wait, I really need to wrap my head around this.
Sure.
We have dozens of blue-collar business owners happily paying hundreds of dollars every month for software they never open. Doesn't that result in massive churn?
Well, you're assuming they bought a software subscription. They didn't.
They didn't.
No. Those landscapers aren't buying GoHighLevel. They're buying an outcome. They're buying a phone that actually rings with qualified leads.
Oh, I see.
They're buying the hours of time they save by not having to manually text people begging for a Yelp review.
So they're buying the result, not the tool.
Exactly. If he sold them the tool, he'd be forcing a busy contractor to sit down and learn a complex CRM.
And that creates friction.
Yes, and friction creates churn. By selling the result and acting as this friendly concierge who makes it happen invisibly, he makes himself indispensable.
The client doesn't care about the intricacies of the software. They just care about the revenue it generates.
Precisely.
It's wild. We've watched James Clark navigate from an overwhelmed, dropout, totally paralyzed by features, to operating a near 100-client machine.
And he didn't invent a new technology. He just relentlessly removed the friction from the buying process.
Right, he leveraged low-barrier offers to get his foot in the door, got paid to learn.
He utilized those strategic pattern interrupts in his cold outreach, manufacturing curiosity instead of rejection.
And he implemented extreme delegation to protect his time and maintain that lead generation snowball.
The mechanics are universally applicable.
Totally. If you are listening to this right now and you're trying to pitch a new initiative at work or launch a side hustle, the blueprint is right here.
Don't overwhelm people with features.
Yes, build a sample. Prove your value before you ask for their money. Lower their psychological risk of saying yes.
And above all, protect your momentum. Delegate the things that pull you away from your core leverage.
Absolutely.
This does raise an important question to leave on, though. Something you should really think about.
Oh, what's that?
Think about the psychology of James's clients. 86 out of 96 never log into the platform, yet they happily pay every month because it delivers a result. It makes you wonder about your own life. How many subscriptions or services are you paying for simply because you like the idea of the result they promise?
Oh, wow.
Like, are you paying a premium for a high-end gym membership, surrounding yourself with complex tools, hoping you'll figure it out? Or do you really just want the personal trainer who guarantees the sweat?
Are you buying the machine or are you buying the outcome? That is definitely something to think about.